Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ringside Ramblers podcast. I'm Alex, and I'm joined on this episode by Alfonso and Rohit. And for this episode, we are going to be looking at the state of the major companies in wrestling right now. So, we will have a brief discussion on the major companies and where they are right now, where they're going to be going in 2025, and just sum up the state of wrestling in mainly WWE, AEW, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. So before we dive into it, first of all, Happy New Year to everybody. And please like the video and please subscribe to the Ringside Ramblers podcast on YouTube. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Alfonso and Rohit, Happy New Year. And are you ready to ramble?
Happy New Year, everyone. And yes, I am. Well, let's get to it. It's been a while, so we took a bit of a break and hope everyone's well. And yeah, let's get back into it.
Yeah, we took a break and I think it was a great break because I watch a lot of wrestling during this break. Like I catch up with a lot of things I haven't catch up. So I'm very happy and I'm very excited about the Rumble today.
Brilliant. So, yes, let's dive into it. So, the state of wrestling in the start of 2025. We'll have a brief discussion about their previous year and where they are at the moment, where they could go in 2025. So, let's start with WWE. Alfonso, I'm going to come to you first, but we're all going to just dive in and give our thoughts
Yeah.
about each subject. So, Alfonso, where do you stand with WWE at the moment? How do you think they are heading into 2025?
I'm loving the new presentation. I love Raw because I can watch it on Netflix. I used to pay like a different service to watch Raw here in El Salvador because I don't have TV cable. So I used to pay a service just to watch WWE here in El Salvador, and it was very difficult for me. But now with Netflix, it's very easy. And I'm saying I love Raw because in El Salvador we are getting Raw without commercials, and we are not getting like we're getting the full experience. We get the promos, like the things that people don't really see in the States, because we get the full raw experience, and it's great to be honest. But SmackDown has a lot of TV commercials, and we have a lot of like segments that are just like promo packages that are very boring to be honest. But as a whole, I think WWE is getting exciting again, and I'm saying again because I felt like they were just waiting for Netflix to happen so they can start like building up again. And right now the Rumble looks ultra stacked because having the John Cena farewell tour, having CM Punk trying to win the Rumble and going to main event WrestleMania. You have Roman Reigns, who hasn't been in a Royal Rumble for the last 5 years going back. So I think the main event is very stacked, and that's very exciting for me. You have new champions in the women's division. You have new tag teams going on, and for a Latino guy like myself, seeing Penta El Cero Miedo in WWE and seeing him cutting a promo in Spanish, I was like, holy shit, he's cutting a promo in full Spanish. He's not using Spanglish. He's really just talking in Spanish. And for the people that don't speak Spanish, I don't care. But it was very emotional. And I was like, Sigue su madre, Pinta! Let's go! Let's go, Pinta! So for me, I was very excited to see that because I think right now that they're going global, you're going to need more international stars to start to shine bright here and there. And I think Penta Cero Miedo is a great like thing. And as we know, we're going to talk about a little bit more on that later. You have a lot of people from AEW moving to WWE. You have a lot of people of TNA leaving TNA, and we're going to see, I think, a lot of new faces in WWE because right now you have more chances to show your talent. So I'm looking forward for Ray Phoenix and Malachi Black. So let's hope I see them in WWE this year. I think that's great. And the only thing that I'm not liking a lot, and I'm going to be honest, is the Triple H style booking is getting a little bit old for me. I think they say that for a booker you have 5 years, five good years, and Triple H is getting there to the point that everything is feeling a little bit repetitive. And let's hope we have some kind of change up in the storylines on how they're building stuff for this year, because I think they're going to need it so they don't stuck in a routine or get stuck, you know. But that's me, and I'm really excited about wrestling this year.
Well, yeah, a lot to unpack there, Alfonso. You make some good points. So,
Yeah,
first of all, obviously, the move to Netflix is huge. It's a huge global potential reach for WWE to tap into a lot of markets they haven't done before. So, in terms of the business side and the financial side for WWE, this is as good as it gets, really.
yeah.
And it's exciting for wrestling that wrestling can reach a lot more countries, a lot more people, which is great. And it's easier for me to consume as well because I had to pay for the network, or you can watch it on Sky Sports here in the UK. So it's much easier on Netflix, like I said. But in terms of the product, I still think it's hot. I still think you have great stories. I kind of agree with you a little bit, Alfonso, on Triple H's booking. I still think he's doing a great job, but there needs to be a little bit more cutting edge, I think, TV. If they want to keep things fresh, the Rumble is an extremely exciting prospect. Like you said, there's so many big names in that, so that could be great. WrestleMania could be great as well, but it's after that. It's what comes after that. Will they continue to go hard on storylines and really produce cutting edge TV that can keep fans invested? Because there is a traditional lull after WrestleMania, so it's interesting to see. But I think they're in a great position at the moment. With the first Raw on Netflix, it was aimed a little bit more at a wider audience. So, me personally, I thought the show was okay, but like some things didn't make sense, and it
But the
was just
second episode was great.
it was, but it's just there at the moment for me. I'm not getting that must see kind of TV from them as like with these
Yeah.
real hard hitting angles. Like the Bloodline angle is still great, but that seems like it may be coming to an end. So
I mean, that's the
we're just gonna
double-edged
have to,
sword, isn't it? Like they have that guaranteed money now from Netflix and that deal in place. So are they saving things for like major shows or are they holding back a bit? I don't know. Just
yeah. It's it's a weird place to be in because it's great for the business, but I want to see these big storylines like the Bloodline, for example. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre had a fantastic story throughout 2024,
yeah,
and I hope they can do a bit more with the mid card people. Like, there's so many talented guys and girls on the roster, and I would like to see them flesh out few more stories for those in the mid card, not just the main event, because the main event scene has cooked for the past couple of years in WWE. But I want a bit more from the mid card. But overall, I think it's in a great place at the moment, and I think they're doing really well. I don't know if you agree, Rohit.
yeah. From what I've seen, they're heading in the right direction. Like the Netflix deal is very good. It gives access to people who like never had access to WWE or couldn't afford it, more of a chance to watch it or even stumble upon it if they're not into it or they're lapsed fans because like. A lot of people have Netflix for other reasons. They already have Netflix, so they don't need to subscribe to something new. And they might be looking at it saying like, "Oh, Raw is on there" or something like that. It's like my sister. She's never really been into wrestling, and she's like telling me that, "Oh yeah, like Raw is now on this or SmackDown's on Netflix and stuff like that." So like, I don't know if she has watched any or something like that, but like. Just for someone that's not in the know of wrestling to kind of discover that and be like, oh yeah, this is there. That's only positive and word of mouth is going to go through. So, people are going to find the product more easily. So I think in terms of reach, the Netflix deal is huge for them. And yeah, like the product should be ramping up towards the Rumble. Hopefully the Rumble they throw in a few surprises. The issue is with the WWE roster being so stacked. Yeah, you have like the likes of Cena and CM Punk and Roman Reigns, which are like huge stars, but sometimes you kind of want that huge legend or that someone that can give you that huge pop. And I feel like the last few Rumbles sometimes lack that a bit. So hopefully they put someone in there, even if it's just a one wrestler or someone that can pop up. But we'll see. Hopefully it should be still a good Rumble. So yeah, hopefully
Yeah,
head
I
in
think
a positive direction. Yeah.
the general consensus is that they are doing really well and things
Yeah.
are looking really positive for them. Just a quick stat on Netflix. So the official rating that they got, I'm not sure how it compares to a typical Nielsen rating, but they had 5 million views on for Raw for the first Raw, which was the first day, obviously watching it live, and then the first day after that, how many people actually streamed it, which is, they typically got 1.5 million
Is that
on
worldwide?
a live feed from US cable. So they've reached a hell of a lot more people. So it is positive. So
Is that worldwide, do you
we'll have to
know,
see
or is just US based, or you don't know?
that it's worldwide. Yeah,
Worldwide,
yeah,
okay, fair.
yeah.
Mm.
So they've reached a lot more people. So yeah, I mean before we'll wrap it up for WWE there. But just quickly before we move on, I want a one name answer from you guys. Who's going to win the Royal Rumble?
Oh, that's tough. I'm just gonna go with John Cena. I honestly got no clue. Could be a couple, but I think maybe they're gonna give it to Cena last hurrah, maybe.
Alfonso?
CM Punk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
makes
I
sense.
I I think John Cena too, Rohit. I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean,
Which would mean he
yeah,
would equal Steve Austin's record of 3 Royal Rumble wins.
yeah. I mean, if
I
The
think
Rock's in it, he would make
for
sense
me,
too. So I don't know.
for me, for me to be honest, I want to see an all gritty Cena trying to win the title, but not going the easy way. I want to see the Shawn Michaels Rumble loss from Cena. I want to see him trying to grasp the ropes when he falls down, going to attack the champion elimination chamber just to get a match at Mania. I want to see that.
Yeah, you're talking 2010, which was one of the best Rumbles ever for me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What if
Great
Cena
stuff.
goes Broadway and does the enters at one and wins it all? Right.
Stranger things have happened. You
You
never
don't
know.
know.
I want Cena to be a 17-time world champion by the end of this year. I think he deserves it.
Yeah, I
So
don't know if they want to break that record. You know, they've been iffy about it all this time. I don't know if they're gonna do it just before Cena retires now, but who knows? Who knows? And
it's a great story to tell anyway.
yeah, and obviously Triple
So
H might be protective because like, no, I respect Ric Flair too much. You know, I don't know.
true.
So.
Yeah. Right. Let's move on to AEW. I'll tell you what, I'm going to start with this. Now, I am a little bit of a heel, as the listeners may know if they've listened to the show,
WWE
and I haven't
propaganda.
been
Yeah.
I I haven't been the biggest fan of the AEW product for probably about the last 2 or 3 years, and I think they had a pretty poor 2024 creatively.
Mhm.
I think the storylines, if there were any, just didn't get over. The current storyline with John Moxley and the Death Riders, if I'm going to be completely honest, I think it's trash. It's not connecting in any way.
Very slow, but I
They
don't know what's happening with
they
that.
they just go around and just beat everybody up for no apparent reason, but it's not connecting. I don't think people want to boo John Moxley, which doesn't help. But anyway, regardless of that, you have so much talent in AEW, so the potential is there for a great product. But the booking has been pretty horrific for a while now, and I guess they're never really going to be going out of business or be threatened to lose their place on TV or anything like that. And they are on Max now,
Yeah,
which
HBO
certainly
Max.
helps.
Yeah,
Yeah, but the product needs to improve. And I want to see a really great alternative to the WWE, like AEW were the first few years of their existence. And I think they need big creative changes at the top. I think whether it's Tony Khan or the amount of freedom he gives to the wrestlers, I think that needs to change. I think you need a guy or a few guys or girls who know what it's like to book a wrestling show, who have had the experience, who have done it before, who are willing to do it for the sake of the company and not themselves, which is what I think John Moxley is doing at the moment. I think he's just in a self-serving storyline which isn't connecting to anybody and isn't good for the product, the ratings, the live attendance or anything like that. And I think they need changes at the top which will hopefully help their overall product, because we
I want,
need compelling storylines, we need compelling
yes.
characters,
yeah,
and we haven't had that. And it pisses me off because I want to see a good wrestling show.
So let's talk a little bit about creative in AEW, because there have been rumors about Scott D'Amore and where he's going next, because
yeah.
apparently he was backstage in Dynamite the last few weeks, and
Yeah,
he has also been in NXT, because there are a lot of rumors to where he's going, what's Shawn Michael doing, what is going to Triple H do next. And I think it's very interesting to see where creative goes for AEW. If AEW was like in the right mind, and Tony Khan has to say like, okay guys, I'm going to give creative to somebody else, I think that could be great. And if you have Scott D'Amore
Yeah,
going to AEW, that could be a masterstroke in creative wrestling
that would be a
for
big
all of
get
us.
for sure.
Because let's be honest, like when TNA was at the hottest, it was because of Scott D'Amore booking. So
agreed.
Yeah, he turned that
so
ship
I'm
around.
I'm I'm
So,
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm really really excited to see that. And I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but we saw the greatest, one of the greatest match of wrestling. I don't think there's going to be anything is going to come close to this one. But Kenny Omega and Gabe Kidd gave us something special. And when you have a guy like Kenny Omega, who was almost retiring, coming back and doing a match like that, you have to build your whole company around him.
yeah,
That's the guy who has to dethrone Moxley and stop that bullshit storyline against the heart and soul of AEW. We don't want people to hate the company. We want to root for the company. So stop doing that stuff. That worked with McMahon and Steve Austin because it was a job. It was that was the storyline. It was like somebody who wasn't happy at his job and at his boss. It's very different, and I don't think it's connecting by the same reason you're saying, Alex.
yeah,
And yeah, let's hope that AEW change creatively, because I think the presentation is okay. The wrestling has been fine sometimes, but the creative part is not there, and we need more creative wrestling
yeah.
yeah. So you're in the same boat, really. You think there needs to be a change at the top,
for sure.
and yeah, uh, I just think Tony Khan has no experience prior to AEW of booking a wrestling show for Western TV week in, week out. He obviously has wrestlers there who are experienced. You've got Chris Jericho, Jeff Jarrett, Paul White, etc., etc. But either none of those are being listened to, or they're doing their own thing to be self-serving, not for the good of the company,
Mhm.
for the good of themselves. And I think too many wrestlers in AEW are doing stuff like that. Classic example is the John Moxley storyline at the moment. I don't think Moxley is thinking about the company at all, and to me, he is booking that storyline, and you can see because it's not connecting. I agree. You have Kenny Omega there, who is the perfect guy to take the championship off of Moxley. They just need a big revamping creative, I think.
Yeah.
I really think Tony Khan needs to just sit back and say, look, the first couple of years were great, but the past few years have not been good. And I have not done the best job. Instead of doing what he always does and just comes out and says, in every press conference, everything's great. This is great. This storyline's great. AEW is great. It's the hottest it's ever been. And it's just bullshit, if I'm being completely honest. Because it's not, because the ratings are down, the live attendance is down, etc., etc. So Tony Khan needs to be really honest and say, I'm struggling. I need proper help. Maybe it is Scott D'Amore, and just say, look, you have the reins. The wrestlers will answer to you, and then you can get some kind of structure in the booking to make the show better, because that's what I want. I want a really great AEW show, and I want to see them succeed.
The thing is, he doesn't need to say it publicly. He can just say that internal. Like publicly, he can keep
Exactly.
saying that, oh yeah, it's fine or it's whatever. And then, like if he doesn't want to admit it publicly because he doesn't want to make your product feel like, oh, it's not doing well. Well, so I don't know, but yeah, I do agree. I do think like creatively there's something going on, something needs to change. I think like the in-ring wrestling for like at the moment seems fine. Yeah, like maybe it might lack substance, but usually like technically it's quite sound. Obviously we can get into like as always, like certain wrestlers not being used, and I feel like the roster needs adjusting. Because you see, obviously, whether it's true or not, you see lots of stories saying that like, oh, certain wrestlers are done, certain wrestlers are not happy with their creative, certain wrestlers are like, use me or let me go, use me and push me or let me go or something like that. So I think all those wrestlers whose contracts are up or wrestlers who feel that way, that like, oh, I'm not being used or whatever. If you're not going to use them, let them go, let them do whatever they want, and then just focus on the people who want to be there or who want to come there, like to join the company and then work around that. Perfectly agree. Kenny Omega should be the face. I think he's always been the face. I think that was
Yeah.
the main reason they wanted to start AEW, like because they weren't sure if they're gonna get Chris Jericho at the start, but like they were trying to build around Kenny Omega. That was obvious from the start, and then obviously they managed to get big names like Jericho on board, which helped like raise the profile and the tension. So I think if they build around Kenny, and yeah, you're right, he should be probably like the world champion, take the belt off Moxley. But from what I've gathered, like over like recent bits, it seems like they're having him feud with like the Callis family or like with against the Elite, against Okada. So they're heading that direction first, which I don't know. Again, it will result in good matches, but I don't know where they're gonna go with the Moxley storyline. And again, with the Death Riders and everything, you say like, oh, it's self-serving, it's not doing anything. And you're right, it pretty much isn't from what I can gather. But what's funny to me is I feel like the story of the Death Riders has like one good part to it, and that's not related to AEW television, which obviously for an AEW fan people would know, but that's like his storyline between the Death Rider and Shota Umino of New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's very compelling at the moment, which is just like, yeah, that's not being shown on AEW or referenced at AEW at all. Just like that, they don't really mention or book anything about like not Dynasty, because they hardly did any promotion for it. Like, obviously, I'm not saying do months in advance, but like, the week leading into it, you can promote it heavily, but they didn't. And I remember Tony Khan saying like a few years back, "Oh, it's a shame that Wrestle Kingdom is always January 4th because some days it will be like some years, sorry, it will be during the week, and it's difficult to send wrestlers over when you do weekly television." This year, both shows were on a weekend, and we had hardly any stars apart from Kenny Omega, maybe the Young Bucks if you want to throw them in there at Dynasty, really, and you're just like, where's Jay White? Where is Will Ospreay? Where is Moxley? In case in point, a couple of other names that weren't on the show. Like again, I don't know who made the decision. Maybe New Japan didn't want them there. I don't know. Maybe the wrestlers didn't want to go there, but I find that very strange for a co-promoted show.
And I really think that's a great segue to talk about New Japan after, because uh, when you talk about AEW, it feels like they're so back behind WWE, and they need something to get back to the same level they were, like competing with them. That a real alliance with New Japan Pro Wrestling can be good for them.
For sure.
And if we talk about, and we're going to do like a scene in a podcast, and we're going to talk about some news that arrived today, and is that WWE and TNA are going to work more together
Mm.
because now it's official with NXT and TNA, and I think that's something very very important that companies need to understand that us as fans, you can give us whatever kind of rivalry between companies as you want, but what we want is like good wrestling,
Yeah,
and we're always going to be booking dream matches. So give those dream matches to us, make those appearances in Japan, have those wrestlers going to different companies. Like right now, you see a lot of more wrestlers from WWE trying to go and to go to a new company than AEW wrestlers appearing in different companies. Like I remember that when they started, they were like a wrestling based promotion with a lot of wrestlers going to wrestle to different places to promote AEW.
yeah,
And that has stopped, and that's really really sad. And I think that's the same for New Japan Pro Wrestling because these last few years has been a little bit like meh for them. Like it's not really kicking off. We don't You don't really have great stars until this last year, because now finally you have like a great heel like Gabe Kidd, and I think they're trying to switch things up and go back to the ways they were when they were like really really hot. But please, Rohit, talk more about that.
yeah. There's definitely a change. Like they'll ha have to adjust, and obviously that's like the situation they've been put in with like stars leaving over the last few years, and obviously like when the main company, like think about like I know comparatively WWE is like way too big and has way too many stars and money to do, but like let's say like at the height of Roman Reigns' like championship reign, he's like, I'm done, I'm leaving WWE. Like that would really like cause issues to a company. Obviously, WWE is big enough to handle that pretty easily because they have multiple guys that can fill in the void. But like with New Japan, like with some aging talent and stars, you know, losing Okada is like a very big hit. So, like for them, they needed to adjust on the fly, and it would take a while for them to like raise stars and develop. And it's across all the Japanese scene at the moment. Like Noah is doing it, all Japan's doing it, DDT is pretty much doing it. They're all raising a new crop of talent that like it's starting to click now, and like in the next few years, like they'll be like major names. And yeah, and I feel like with New Japan, like um, obviously, Gabe Kidd has really made a name for himself. Yota Tsuji has finally won his big first singles title as well, and a lot of talent is like, they're working together. They're getting pushed, towards the product. And I know Alex isn't really a fan of what he's seen of Tomohiro Ishii in the States, but if you need to watch a good match, like his match at Dynasty against Takeshita is really like shows that yeah, he slowed down over the years, but the guy's like mid 40s now, at least I believe, and
He's
he
older than
still
that, I
has
think.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he still has it, and even last year he's had that great trilogy with Noah's was it Kiyomiya, I think it was, sorry, Kitamiya it was, in Pro Wrestling Noah. He had like a trilogy match. Those were like great matches. And yeah, and New Japan's always open to work with like different promotions. Like you have some New Japan legends like working in MLW. You have Kenta that's working like some American indies like with Defy, and obviously because of the 25th year of Pro Wrestling Noah, it seems like with the storyline with between Kenta and Keno, that he's going to be making some more Noah appearances this year as well. So New Japan's usually quite open to working, and I feel like AEW could leverage that. And like Alfonso said, with AEW wrestlers not going to places to promote AEW, to promote themselves, is really, really a shame because like if you look at what Takeshita has done in New Japan, he came over for the G1, and now he's got a third contract. He's signed with New Japan, so he's got a contract with AEW, DDT, and New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is like crazy. And yeah, and I feel like if more AEW wrestlers who are on the fringes who want to get more ring time, they'd be like, look, Tony Khan, can you contact New Japan? I want to go over there to prove myself, improve myself, to showcase myself, and see if New Japan want to take them on. Because like, look what it's done to Jack Perry. Like, he really got that scapegoat character over and joined the league. And when he came back, he's got some momentum. Lance Archer has always built up momentum when he went to New Japan, and every time he came back, it's just AEW just never used him. So it's like it can be a great platform to help New Japan, but also help themselves and promote AEW and raise their stocks in AEW. But yeah, I don't know. But overall, I think
Yeah,
it's in a great direction now.
yeah, I'm with. I understand both your points about AEW and New Japan working together, and obviously we have seen a working relationship between the two over the past few years, like with the Forbidden Door pay per view. But what? But it's no good just working together for the sake of working together. They have to make compelling storylines, whether it's crossover between the two, whether a New Japan guy comes over to AEW and is seen on AEW TV for like months on end, for example, a Gabe Kid, or the other way round, for example, whoever, Kenny Omega, John Moxley, heading over to New Japan for months on end. But they have to make compelling stories. It's no good just doing it for the sake of doing it. And they have to showcase those stories. They have to tell fans those stories.
Yeah,
If Gabe Kidd came over to Dynamite and worked a storyline, say with Kenny Omega or Darby Allin or whoever, they first AEW need to tell us who Gabe Kidd is. It's no good just being like, well, you're all our hardcore fans, so you know who he is because you've watched New Japan. No, you need video
mhm,
packages. You need the announcers to put him over and explain who he is. Then you need a proper fleshed out story between, for example, Gabe Kidd and let's say a Darby Allin in AEW. They need to make compelling TV. It's no good just doing the matches. I don't
for
give a
sure.
shit if AEW get 3 or 4 5-star matches at the next pay-per-view. If the Dynamite after that draws 500,000 viewers and the arena is half empty, who gives a shit about those 5-star matches? Because I don't. What I care about is characters that get over, characters that I can invest in. And when you make compelling characters that the fans can invest in, emotionally invest in, then you will get more eyes on the product
Yeah,
because people will look at a character and think, oh, this, I really want to follow this guy's storyline. I'm going to be watching every week now to see where this storyline goes. And for example, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre got a 50-cent bracelet over because they made people care about it. You can do all the flips, dives, and Canadian destroyers in the world. If the characters aren't fleshed out or aren't emotionally
I'm
invested in,
I'm going to
nobody's
be
going to care.
yeah.
I'm going to be the heel here. That fucking bracelet was very shitty. I'm sorry, but the promos were great. The character development was great, but the bracelet was shitty. But
Yeah,
I
but
think,
but it made people care.
Yeah,
People cared about a shitty little bracelet.
yeah,
I
I
cared
know,
about
I
that
know, I
more
know.
and
than
But
any other 5-star match
yeah,
that AEW had last year because I was emotionally invested in what Drew McIntyre was doing and what CM Punk was doing because I cared about their characters.
yeah. And again,
and
I feel
and
like that's AEW's creative side, which you talked about, because like from New Japan side, every time like an AEW guy has come for like a tournament or as like a couple of months, let's say, like with Jack Perry, they like said who he was. They built a storyline. Like for example, like many people like well just AEW watchers and don't watch New Japan probably don't know that Jack Perry joined House of Torture in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he was like one of the major guys there, and like he still got
Yeah,
connections to a House of Torture. Obviously, he's not been
and they never showed it on any Dynamite, did they?
exactly.
I don't think, anyway. They never said, oh, Jack Perry's been doing this in New Japan. He's
Uh,
joined the House of Torture.
mhm,
People can get more invested. Then you get maybe more New Japan fans coming over and watching AEW.
yeah,
Then the ratings go up. They don't take advantage of
exactly.
the,
Yeah,
the superstars doing well in New Japan. And I
100%.
don't know if it's the same for
but
New Japan. Do they
but
take advantage?
They
but
take
I
advantage of
think
what's given to them, really, or whoever comes. If they do someone, and usually they do pretty well, and they get over pretty well with the crowd. And yeah, as long as they perform, they get over, and the crowd will endear themselves to the AEW wrestlers. So yeah, for sure.
and I think I think if we take it home
Mm,
and we just try to talk about
yeah,
how is wrestling making us feel
mm,
for this 2025, I think it's very important to say now wrestling is going to have a lot of eyes on them.
yeah,
You have
Yeah.
AW on Max, you have WWE on Netflix, and you have New Japan trying to make a comeback. And you have all the indies having more shows. You have a lot of new wrestlers coming up.
A
And
lot of wrestlers on
I just,
potentially as well from all companies
yeah. And you have new alliances from companies to companies. And to be honest, I'm just really, 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 really excited about wrestling in 2025. And I hope everybody's going to be excited because
for sure.
I'm dying to talk about wrestling in
Yeah,
Ringside Ramblers
for sure,
all year
for
because I
sure.
think it's going to be a great year for wrestling.
Yeah, speaking
Yeah,
of something
yeah,
I'm excited for, I'm very interested to see what happens to Dr. Wagner Jr. Because not Dr. Wagner Jr., Hyoda Dr. Wagner Jr., sorry. I need to say his proper name because people will get confused with his father and his rest of his family. But yeah, because obviously he's done his stint in Noah. It seems like he's I think he's done his last match or his last match is coming up this weekend, I think. I can't remember. And obviously he's leaving Japan and I'm not sure where he's heading. He's obviously going to return to Mexico for a while, but we could see him maybe heading AEW. We could see him potentially in WWE. Who knows? But it's exciting to see where he goes, and I'm excited to see what his brother does because his brother is staying in Noah for now, and he's obviously begged Kaito Kiyomiya to work with him, and he's currently joined his faction. So that's pretty interesting. So we'll see.
yeah. I'm excited about this year too.
Yeah,
It's like you said, wrestling is going to reach a whole lot more people. So let's hope that everything goes really well, guys. Before we go, really quickly,
yeah,
give me a bold prediction for 2025. Alfonso's had to dash off. So Rohit,
that's fine.
give us a bold prediction for 2025.
Ooh, false prediction. Let's see. I mean, I, I don't know if this is a bold prediction or not, but potentially I think The Rock could be world champion in WWE.
Oh,
It's,
oh, I like it.
I don't know if
That
it's
is a
too
bold
bold, but
prediction.
I
That
think
is.
it could happen this year.
Dude, that's a great prediction. I love that. I would love that. I'd be on board with that.
It'd
The
be very
final boss, the big heel corporate world champion. I love it.
as long as he doesn't disappear for months. Like, yeah, he doesn't have to be every week, but maybe like at least like 2 weeks in a month or something, because there's like 4 weeks in a month. So if he appears like every 2 weeks or something, at least that'd be good. Like if he can't make it weekly, but if he could make it weekly, that'd be even better. But yeah.
That's a great prediction. Great prediction.
So,
Mine, Rohit,
mhm.
is that Cody Rhodes will be the biggest heel in wrestling by the end of 2025.
I feel like that's gonna be so good if it does happen. Hopefully it does because it does seem like signs are there, but I don't know if they're gonna pull the trigger. But I think
He is a heel at heart.
it would work
He
100%.
is
Yeah. It's just whether or
he
not
is
they
a
wanna do it.
bona fide heel.
Yeah. I agree. I think that'd be great because I feel like a lot of like the good stuff he did outside of WWE, I feel like when he was that baby face in certain things, it's like oh, a little bit corny. Like it felt a bit cringy at some point, a little bit too weird.
Yeah,
But every time he was a heel outside of WWE, like in AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, he did some great stuff, and he just hated him because it's like he was that slimy heel that he didn't like. And it's not like
yeah,
because like I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Cody. He does good wrestling. It's not like he's bad. He does solid work. But like he's not like a Kenny Omega or Will Ospreay. He's not like a magician in the ring. But because he's not, when he does the heel tactic, you're just like when Kenny Omega was a heel, you're like, you still like him, you still root for him because he is so amazing in ring. But with Cody, he's not like that level in ring. Not saying he's
yeah.
bad again, but
They
because
will
of
boo
that,
the shit out of Cody.
yeah, you can really hate him. Like you can really get behind hating him. So like, yeah, I think that'd be good. And at the moment with the recent Rock stuff, like, oh, now he's a baby face again. I don't know what they're doing. It's like they don't have a mega heel. Like the biggest heel is what Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio, and then obviously like the whole Judgment Day and the new Bloodline in Solo Sikoa. Like. really.
Drew McIntyre, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, Drew McIntyre, but he's not involved in like the main two stories, I guess, because I feel like those two are like the main big stories at the moment. If he was involved in one of them, I think it come across more that he's like the number one heel. But at the moment,
yeah.
like,
What The Rock did on the first Netflix made absolutely no sense
yeah,
whatsoever.
it
I
did.
think they just did it because they knew they were reaching a new audience and they wanted to
Yeah,
show this is the WWE. But
yeah, he's the more
yeah,
mainstream, yeah, because I mean, they could have got someone else to do it, but then, as you said, because they're trying to do it for Netflix, he's like the most well-known person, I guess, to bring in for that role.
exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's great, Rohit. So yeah, let's wrap it up there. That was our, you know, summing up the state of the big companies in wrestling
Yeah.
at the moment and where they could head into 2025. So
Hmm.
don't forget to like the video and please subscribe to the Ringside Ramblers on YouTube.
Yep.
Rohit, thank you very much as always. And
Thank
we
you.
will see everybody very soon for another Ringside Ramblers podcast.
Ciao.
Ciao, everybody.
And ciao from Alfonso too.